Good morning, children. Let us come to the next session of the lesson. Here we are doing The Selfish Giant Part 2. The Selfish Giant was written by Oscar Wilde. It was converted into a play by M. Ryan Taylor. Now, about the author Oscar Wilde. From 16th October 1854 to 30th November 1900. Was an Irish writer and poet. After writing in different forms throughout the 1880s, he became one of the London's most popular playwrights in the early 1890s. Today, he is remembered for his epigrams and plays. Oscar Wilde is best known for the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray and the play The Importance of Being Earnest. The Happy Prince and Other Tales is the collection of children's stories. In this play, the main characters are the giant, a selfish character, and the old giant, a changed and kind character. Little boy, an angel from heaven. The other characters include tall girl, short boy, square girl, graceful girl, round boy. Children, in part 1, you have seen that the giant did not allow the children to play in its garden because of his selfishness. So it was always winter in the garden. Let us see what happens in part 2. Before starting our session, have a look at the glossary. Linnet bird, a small brown and grey bird. Hail, small balls of ice that fall like rain. Cease, stop happening. Twittering, making a series of short high sounds. Sneeze, suddenly expel air from the nose and mouth due to irritation in one's nostrils. Feeble, lacking strength. Hath, has. Thee, you. Slay, kill. Art, are. Thou, you. Children, the play goes like this. One day morning, the old giant was lying on his bed and heard the lovely song of a linnet bird outside his window. The giant thought that the spring had come at last. The children had crept in through a little hole and sat on the branches of the trees. The trees were very glad to have the children back. The old giant noticed that in the farthest corner of the garden it was still winter. In that corner, a little boy was trying to climb up to the branches, but he could not do so. The giant's heart melted and went to help the little boy. Seeing the giant, all the children were frightened and ran away. Only the little boy remained there. The giant helped him to climb the tree. Seeing this, all the other children came into the garden. It was spring season again. The giant was no longer wicked. He broke the wall with an axe and allowed the children to play in his garden. Daily he was watching the children play in their garden, but he did not find the little boy again. Days passed by and the giant became old and feeble. One winter morning, the giant was wondered to see the little boy in his garden, but was upset to see the wounds on the boy's hand and feet. The giant wanted to kill the one who wounded the little boy. The boy replied that they are the wounds of love and asked the giant to come with him to the garden. The child climbed onto the old giant's arms and they both walked into an ever expanding garden. Now, let us go to the reading part. I will read the lesson. Concentrate on the pronunciation. Old Giant. One morning I was lying awake in bed when I heard some lovely music. It sounded so sweet that I thought it must be the king's musicians passing by. But it was really only a little linnet bird singing outside my window. It was so long since I had heard a bird singing in my garden that it seemed to me to be the most beautiful music in the world. The giant. The hail has stopped dancing over my head, and the north wind has ceased his roaring. A delicious smell is coming from the window. I believe the spring has come at last. The giant jumps out of bed and looks out. Through a little hole in the wall, the children have crept in and are sitting in the branches of the trees. Old giant. In every tree, I could see a little child. The trees were so glad to have the children back again that they had covered themselves with blossoms and were waving their arms gently above the children's heads. The birds were flying about and twittering with delight, and the flowers were looking up through the green grass and laughing. It was a lovely scene. Only in one corner it was still winter. It was the farthest corner of the garden, and in it was standing a little boy. He was so small that he could not reach up to the branches of the tree, and he was wandering all round it, crying bitterly. The poor tree was still quite covered with frost and snow, and the north wind was blowing and roaring above. "Climb up, little boy," said the tree, and it bent its branches down as low as it could. But the little boy was too tiny. It was then that my heart melted. The giant. How selfish I have been! Now I know why the spring would not come here. I will put that poor little boy on the top of the tree, and then I will knock down the wall, and my garden shall be the children's playground for ever and ever. Old giant. I was really very sorry for what I had done. So I crept downstairs and opened the front door quite softly and went out into the garden. But when the children saw me, they were so frightened that they all ran away and the garden became winter again. Only the little boy did not run, for his eyes were so full of tears that he did not see me coming. So I stole up behind him and took him gently in my hand and put him up into the tree. And the tree broke at once into blossom, and the birds came and sang on it. And the little boy stretched out his two arms and flung them round my neck and kissed me. When the other children saw that, they came running back, and with them came the spring. The giant. It is your garden now, little children. Old giant. I took a great axe and knocked down the wall. And when the people were going to market at 12 o'clock, they found me. Yes, me, playing with the children in the most beautiful garden they had ever seen. All day long we played, And in the evening, the children came to bid me goodbye. Tall girl. Now we have somewhere to play. Short boy. This is much better than the road. Square girl. Yes, the road is so dusty and the dust makes me sneeze. Graceful girl. And the grass is so much nicer than all those hard stones. Round boy. I like all the flowers. Graceful girl. And the trees? Tall girl. How happy we are all here. Thank you, Mr. Giant. Round boy. Yes, thank you. You are a very, very nice giant. The giant. But where is your little companion, the boy I put into the tree? Graceful girl. I don't know. Round boy. He has gone away. The giant. You must tell him to be sure to come here tomorrow. Tall girl. I don't know where he lives. Square girl. I have never seen him before. The giant. But I wanted to thank him. When he kissed me on the cheek, I felt as though a great weight had been lifted from my heart. Short boy. I am sorry, but I don't think he lives around here. Old giant. Every afternoon when school was over, the children came and played with me. But I never saw again the little boy who I loved. Oh, I would like to see him again. I have grown old and feeble waiting. I cannot play about with the children anymore. So I sit here in my armchair and watch the children at their games and admire my garden. I have many beautiful flowers, but the children are the most beautiful flowers of all. Getting up and looking out of the window. I no longer hate the winter. It is merely the spring asleep. The flowers are resting. Suddenly he rubs his eyes in wonder and looks around. What a marvelous sight this is! In the farthest corner of the garden, a tree covered with lovely white blossoms. Its branches are all golden and silver fruits hangs down from them. And what is this? Can it be? Oh, can it be? He has come back. He has come back. The old giant leaps down the stairs into the snowy garden and to the grassy patch where the child is standing. When he draws close to the child and examines him, his face grows red with anger. Old giant. Who? Who had dared to wound thee? Your hands, your feet? Who had dared to wound thee? Tell me, that I may take out my big sword and slay him. Child. Nay, but these are the wounds of love. They are necessary. Old giant falling to his knees. Little child, who art thou? Child smiling. You let me play once in your garden? Today you shall come with me to live in my garden, which is in paradise. The child climbs into the old giant's arms. The winter melts away before them as they walk into an ever expanding garden. Okay, children? Now let us go to the comprehension part. Answer the following questions. First question. How is the child different from the other children? Answer. The child is different from the other children. He is not an ordinary child. He is an angel from heaven who came to change the attitude of the giant. Second question. How does the narrator explain the idea of springtime? Pick out some expressions. Answer. Spring season is of new life and liveliness. Some expressions which describe the arrival of spring are A delicious smell of flowers and fruits. Birds singing. Birds flying and twittering with delight. Next question. What is the central theme of the play? Answer. The central theme of the play are selfishness and love. If a person is selfish, he won't share anything with others like the selfish giant. But once it is realized what love is, it made his life beautiful. In this play, selfishness is compared to winter season, frozen and hard. Love is compared to spring season, which is very lovely and lively. Okay, children, I think you have understood the lesson. We'll meet again in the next session. Have a good day.